Hey guys, Meredith with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we are checking out these full LED headlights with the black housing and the clear lens, fitting all 2018 through 2020 F-150s with the factory halogen headlights. Now, if your current headlights need an upgrade in styling and performance, this set will be a great option to look into. Now, this will be good for any F-150 owner who is currently struggling with visibility when driving at night and wants to improve and modernize their front end lighting with a set of headlights that will also bring more of that aggressive OE-inspired look to the table. These headlights will have a very sharp appearance to them with the dual bright white DRL around the driving lights and an amber light bar right in the center to break it up, very similar to the factory LED, which is great if you want to keep the styling simple yet sophisticated. Now, the black housing will be one of those aspects that do switch it up from the factory styling, adding some darkness to the appearance to match with other smoked or blacked out accessories and really make those LEDs pop. Speaking of those LEDs, those will outshine your factory halogens tenfold, again increasing your lighting performance, offering a much more concentrated beam and a concise beam for better visibility on dark back roads and remote areas. The headlight housings will be made of an ABS plastic, which is very common for lighting because the plastic is durable and long-lasting. Now, the lens on the front will also be impact-resistant polycarbonate, offering a crystal clear construction, but being durable enough for off-road or on-road debris or kick-up from tires in front of you. Now, one of the most efficient features is the full LED design, eliminating any maintenance thanks to the long-lasting, low-energy drawing nature of an LED. Now, these will also come with plug-and-play harnesses, making sure that install will be no fuss and you're not going to have to do any additional wiring. These will be around $950, which is right in the middle of the price range compared to other headlights in the category. Now, what I think is nice is that you do have a full LED construction here if you're specifically looking to eliminate halogen bulbs from the equation for maintenance, the look, or the performance, or really whatever else is your reasoning. Now, these will also boast that OE-inspired styling, which will be something that other styles may not include. Now, that's going to make it a great choice if you're looking for that mild style and all-around improved lighting performance without completely draining your wallet. Install will be a lighter 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and with some mechanical know-how, you should be able to get this done in about an hour or so with some basic hand tools. Now, at this point, we can head over to our shop and check out a detailed breakdown on how to get these onto your F-150 at home. So that is going to wrap it up for my review. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
The tools you'll need for this project are a 1/4-inch drive ratchet, a 7, an 8, a 10, a 13mm socket, a short extension, a pair of needle nose pliers, a pair of side cutters, a T25 Torx bit, a panel trim removal tool, and you'll also need to source some zip ties. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of headlights on our F-150, so let's get started with the uninstall of the stock headlights. First thing we need to do to remove our headlights is remove this filler panel underneath our grille. And to do that, there are 2 screws on either end of this filler panel in the fender lip area. Then we're going to use our 7mm socket to remove those 2 screws on each side. All right, so we've got 2 7mm bolts right here on the inside of the fender lip. So we're going to go ahead and remove those with our 7mm socket. And now you can remove the 2 screws on the other side of the vehicle. Now, with our screws removed, we can just grab a hold of the inside edge of this filler panel and start pulling it away. It's only held in with plastic clips, so we just grab a hold, give it a tug, and start pulling it away. Next thing we're going to do is remove our radiator shroud here, and we've got 14 push pins that we need to remove. To do that, we're going to use our trim removal tool and just pop these up out of the way. Now with the push pins removed, we should just be able to lift this up and pull it away. All right, next we've got a couple of connectors here that need to be disconnected. Depending on the configuration of your truck, you may have one or two, but let's go ahead and get those disconnected first, and then we'll remove the 4 10mm bolts on top to go ahead and remove our grill. So here are our connectors. You're just gonna reach in, push down on the release lever, and disconnect it. Same thing for the other one. Now, like I said, you may have one or more. Just push in on the release lever and pop it out. Now you may also have a plastic push pin connector right here to hold the harness in place. Ours happens to be missing, but just go ahead and pop that out with your trim removal tool, and then we can remove the 4 bolts on the top. Now we've got 2 13mm bolts, one in the corner here and one on the other side of the grill. So we'll go ahead and remove those, and then we can slide our grill out. All right, now just grab a hold of your grill and pull it straight back. All right, now we're ready to remove our headlight. And to do that, we've got 2 10mm screws at the top here, plus this plastic push pin. So we'll use our trim removal tool to remove the plastic push pin and our 10mm socket to remove those 2 bolts. All right, now we've got 3 more to remove at the bottom here. We've got an 8mm here on the inside, a 10mm next to it, and another 10mm on the outside. So we'll go ahead and take those out. And now we'll get our 8mm. All right, now we need to separate this plastic trim piece at the bottom from our headlight. So we'll use our trim removal tool and just pry this down and get it separated. And then we can go ahead and pull our headlight straight back. Now we can disconnect our 3 connectors at the back of our light simply by pushing in on the release lever on the connector and pulling it straight back. And now you can repeat that process for the other light. Now to transfer this piece over, we are going to be using a T25 Torx bit to remove the 3 screws here, here, and here. Now our light currently is missing a couple of the screws, so we've only got 1 to transfer over, but you'll have 3 on yours. Now, once you've got all 3 screws out, just go ahead and slide the piece over, and then we can transfer it to our new light. Now, there are a couple of tabs on the front of the light here that fit into the slots on this trim piece, so we'll just go ahead and slide those tabs into the slots on the trim. And then we can go ahead and insert our screws. Like I said, you'll have 3 of these to do. We only have 1. Now we can plug in our adapter harness to the back of the light, making sure to push it in until it snaps, and then pushing down on the red locking tab to make sure that it stays in place. And now you can repeat that whole process for the other light. Now this is the harness that comes with the lights. And as you can see, it's kind of lengthy because we're going to run one side over to the driver's side and we'll have one plugged into the passenger side. And then we're going to tap into a fuse in the fuse panel underneath the hood. So let's go ahead and get this run and get everything hooked up so we can install our lights. All right, now we're going to run our fuse tap up behind the radiator core here behind the battery and up to our fuse box. To do that, we're just going to slide our fuse tap over the windshield washer fluid bottle and then behind the battery and then up to our fuse box. Now we can go ahead and remove the covers off of our fuse box and get this plugged in. Now we can go ahead and remove our fuse cover panel by pushing in on the 2 tabs in the front here and lifting it up. Now keep in mind this is a 2-piece lid, so you'll need to remove both pieces. Now once we've got that out of the way, the fuse that we're going to be using is this 10 amp fuse right here. So if you look from the back of the box, it's in the 3rd row, the first available fuse. So we're just going to use our needle nose pliers, pull that fuse out, and then we can go ahead and run our wires through and plug it back in. Now you may have to modify the fuse lid in order to be able to put it back on. We're not going to do that on ours just because of the fact we're not leaving these lights in here. So we're just going to leave it sit as is. Now let's go ahead and run the rest of the harness. All right, now we're going to go ahead and run our harness across the front of the truck here, right underneath this top core support, and then we'll zip tie it after we get it all run across. We'll run it behind this splash guard here. Now, once we've got it run over, we'll go ahead and use some zip ties and zip tie this up to the current harness that's already there, just to make sure it stays out of the way and doesn't cause any issues. And then of course, once you've got them all zip tied, go ahead and cut off the excess just to tidy it up. Now we can go ahead and plug in our factory harness to the back of our lights. Plug in our DRL harness that we just ran. And now we can go ahead and install our light back in the original position. And then we'll secure it using the original hardware. And now we'll tighten it down with our 10mm socket. Replace our push pin. Now we can install the lights, the bolts at the bottom. We'll get the one on the side. Tighten it down with our 13mm socket. Then we can insert our 10mm. Insert our 8mm and tighten them down. And now you can repeat that process for the other light. Now we'll reinstall our grill. And secure it with the original hardware. And now we'll tighten them all down with our 10mm socket. Now we'll replace our radiator cover and secure it using the original push pins. And finally, we can install our filler panel. Now we'll install the two 7mm screws at the end of our filler panel. And tighten them down with our 7mm socket. And now you can repeat that process for the other side. And that wraps up our review and install of the full LED headlights with the black housing and clear lens for your 18 to 20 F-150 with factory halogen headlights. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.